Okay, so the next set of problems that I'm going to be working are on your worksheet, page 6, but it actually says page 161 in your textbook, problems 25 through 33 odd. So I'm going to work through problem 25. Now I'll go ahead and show you the problem that we're doing. And so it says, consider the unbalanced equation for the combustion of hexane. And here it is, and this is hexane, C6H14, hex being six carbons, plus oxygen. Again, you got to have oxygen in order to have a combustion. Forms carbon dioxide and water. So for a combustion, you have a hydrocarbon plus oxygen forms carbon dioxide and water. Okay. You're going to balance the equation and determine how many moles of oxygen gas are required to completely react with 7.2 moles of your hexane. Okay. Now this one was nice enough. It did say balance the equation. So if that's not told to you, you do need to remember on your own, the first step is always to make sure you have a balanced chemical equation. So we'll pause the video. I want you to go ahead and balance it and see if we agree. Okay, so I'm going to, hopefully you've already got your equation balanced, but I want to back up and just do a quick talk about something that happens as you start balancing. So the first thing is when I do my carbon, and this is just me, maybe you went about it a different way, but I looked at my carbon and I knew that there needed to be 6 carbons. I looked at my hydrogens and I knew there needed to be 14, so I put a 7. And so it makes it very easy because my oxygen is all by itself. So when I do a count here, 6 times 2, that gives me 12 oxygens here. Don't forget to do your oxygens here. And I have 7 times 1 is 7. So when I put these two together, I actually have on this side 19 oxygens. Well, I have to multiply something by 2 to get 19. And so this is really 19 halves, if that makes sense. So that divided by 2 would be 19 halves. And so if you work a problem out and you get something like this, in which this oxygen, this happens very common on a combustion problem, in which your oxygen is some number divided by 2. It's a partial on that. And you're like, well, crap, I need to start all the way over. On that, you don't really need to start all the way over. All you need to do is just go through and double all of your values. Double all of your values. So this value was 1. It now will become 2. Okay. 19 halves times 2 is just 19. Okay. And then 12 and 14. Okay. Does that make sense? So that's just kind of a quick, easy way. I wanted to show you that because, again, a lot of you guys are going to get to that point that you've got 19 halves. You've got to, you know, it's a fraction. You know, it's not going to work. And it will always be a half like that. And then you're just going to multiply by 2. Just double everything. And that'll get rid of that fractional part here. Okay? Just an FYI. Okay. So first step. So we have us a balanced equation. And I can make it look a little better if I want to on that. So that's my first thing. The next thing is I'm just going from moles to moles. So the question is, do I need my mass of either one of these? Okay, so hopefully your answer was no. So I'm just doing moles to moles. There's no grams involved in here. I didn't do a gram to gram conversion. So we're lucky on that. But I do need to know the mole ratio between hexane and oxygen. And so here's my 2 to 19. Okay, so for every 2 moles of hexane, I have 19 moles or need 19 moles of oxygen. So just write that somewhere. At least I do. You don't have to. The other thing that I like to do to help kids out sometimes to keep them from making errors, to remember what they're using, is when I see moles of hexane, I'm going to come up here. There's my moles of hexane. I don't know if you guys can see that. Might need to get a better highlighter on there. And then moles of oxygen. So I go ahead and highlight those two, maybe circle them. You know, maybe circling works better for you. I'm using this one and I'm using this one. You might not have a highlighter close by. So do something so you remember, because what will happen is as you're working the problems and you get to going, then you'll forget which one of these you're going to. Okay, so if you start off by either highlighting or circling the two that you're working with, because typically we'll only work with two, then you don't mess with the rest of the equation. We don't even care about the rest of it right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we should always start with writing down our given. Okay, so 7.2 moles of C6H14. And now to go from moles of hexane, I can now go to moles of oxygen. So which value is going to go in the denominator here? And so that should be 2 moles of your hexane. So it don't matter how I write it up here. When you come down to here, make sure you put it in the correct spot, that these cancel. So then the 19, that's where I'm going to, moles. And you could always write this in the correct way, know what you're given and put it, but a lot of times we'll just go left to right when I'm kind of writing it down and then worry about flipping it when I get here. That's your call. Okay. So now the question is, do I need any other steps? Okay, so I don't need any other steps. I have as an answer right now, I am, whoops, that just smeared big time. I am moles of oxygen, and that's what I'm looking for, moles of oxygen. I definitely need to get a new highlighter. So now it's just a matter of doing your calculations. Okay, so I ran my numbers, and I'm okay if you don't put this spot in there. I don't think it hurts by any means to go ahead and multiply your numerators and then multiply your denominators and get that. Same thing with here. You could go ahead and run your numbers, have your calculator value, and then look back and say, okay, I need 2 significant digits, and go straight to your answer on that. You pick what works best for you so that you end up with the correct answer. But like I said, this piece in here, you know, that's a judgment call whether you need all those different steps or not to help you out. Okay, do be sure you label your final answer. It is moles of oxygen. So just make sure you got your final answer correct. The question was, what's the number of moles of oxygen? Moles of oxygen. I look like I've got it down.